What is it? What nameless, inscrutable, unearthly thing is it? What cozening, hidden lord and master, and cruel, remorseless emperor commands me, that against all natural loving and longings, I so keep pushing and crowding and jamming myself on all the time, recklessly making me ready to do what in my own proper natural heart I durst not so much as dare. Welcome back, everybody, to the Invitational. We set foot once again on Leviathan for Run 2 Group 3. This is closing out Run 2. We will be free of the punishment that is Leviathan. The three that face the spinner. Some misdirection. Little Yella and Zoidberg hopping in. Spinner's going to take its spin around. We're going to choose who goes firstest and who goes lastest. It's coming around, I think, one more time to come to a gradual stop here on misdirection. Misdirection will be out on the course first. Now we're just here to see who's going to be running last. Taking a nice slow spin around, as the spinner is apt to do. Coming to a stop on Zoidberg. The man in the middle, the big boy himself, Zoidberg. There's Yella disappearing off the screen. We will jump right out onto the course. Everything here should look familiar. If you're here for the first time, I'm not going to say that's weird, but it's kind of weird. Two groups have already gone before this. So misdirection, we'll see what approach she takes to gate 1. I feel like everyone has taken a sort of a different line of attack here to get up to 1. She doesn't look like she's going to drop into the canyon as soon as everyone else. She's getting a little stuck here. The Scorpio. I don't know how well the Scorpio is suited to this situation. We've seen some tires do, let's say, better than others. That was an ill-advised reverse there. She manages to spin it out. Seems like she's sitting and thinking about it. I would think about that too. We're not yet to gate 1. She seems to have a fairly good angle on this now. Gate 1 has been a rough one across the board. I have lost track, but I don't know if there have been it has not been a large number that have cleared it. We add another to the list of rigs that did not clear it. So not clear through 1. That bottom marker, the placement of that bottom marker, unkind. She's very high up here through 2, but rear end, again, the Scorpio's rear end sliding down. And now the marker was essentially in between the axles. So it's not a strike, but it's a strike. If all 4 wheels don't go in between the gates, that counts as a hit. But it lined her up really well for 3. She was as clean as anyone has been through 3. There's that little jaggy rock there, kind of forming a triangle with the 2 markers, and that little jaggy rock was tending to push people. I don't think anyone hit the high marker. Everyone hit the low marker because I don't know if that was they were being too conservative or the rock just shunted them that direction. Coming through gate 4, behaving like a buggy there. We'll see how she clears belly over to get into the ravine to line up to 5. Almost everyone has gotten stuck here. All right, she doesn't having no body and just being a cage. Oh, hello, Jage. Jage just checking out the festivities of the morning. She opted to swing all the way around as she was through 4 and attempting to clear to breach into the ravine there for 5. No one, I don't think anyone has found a really properly good line to get through 5 cleanly and effortlessly. Flips over 5 there and is still stuck, really. Comes down. Rear wheel hung up a little bit. Trying to, and punts that one as well. Misdirection had a bit of a time, I would say, and I think I was looking through the notes. I think she might have gotten away with something. But at this point, we're getting to where the points at the top are tight, and no one is racing for fifth, you know? Zoidberg coming out to see if he can improve on the performance that went before. I will say that Zoidberg has one primary drawback, and that is his size. And he also has one primary strength, which I would say is his size. He has the most ground clearance, but you know, like that strike on one is not surprising, as we are looking at 15-inch gates, and Zoidberg is over a foot wide. I think he's probably right near 13 inches wide, 12 and a half, 13 inches wide. So he has to be really close in through gates. So after scooping up one, you can see he's taking a much more conservative approach here. Like, he is moving very slowly, and beyond his primary strength, he's got all the other stuff. He's got four-wheel steer, he's got dig, he's got 2.2 Ruptures, he's got an LCG chassis. You can't ask for much more with Zoidberg. It's just that, I mean, you can even see, just looking at that approach he's taking through that gate there, he is big, and look at the flex. But with all that flex, he's still dead flat. Like, that's not crazy, oh, now we're going to flip over flex. This is why we've kind of come to the conclusion that, I mean, Misdirection and Zoidberg are indeed cousins. At least cousins, if not, I mean, brother and let's go with cousins, as Zoidberg is Capra axles and everything else custom, and Misdirection is the cage. So the original Zoidberg was split in twain, and from his remains rose Misdirection. Zoidberg then became a whole different thing pretty much by accident. We were waiting for Ruptures to come in stock, and they had the 2.2s, and I was like, we can find a rig that those will fit on. And so became the Zoidberg that you see before you now, which with 2.2s, and 2.2 Ruptures are not exactly small. That is a tall tire, and portals along with that. Zoidberg has got, and yet even he was getting belly hung up on that clear. But watch the four-wheel steer action here as he effectively turns almost in his length to line up for 5, and we will see how he thought better of it and decided to take another little different shot at it. He's so close to the width of the gates, but the Ruptures are not. There was no wheel slip at all. That was the most certain ascent up there. Taking it very slowly as the rear axle still is not through 5 yet. Little jump there. It's a surprising amount of bump. I mean, he is one of the 4S crew, but he's running on a 900 kV. That rear end just settling down. Okay, he's got that front axle, that width, and that tire size. Again, he's in perfect position to clear 6 here. Taking it very slowly. He doesn't want to get that middle hung up and swing the rear end around. Using four-wheel steer to its maximum capacity here. I think he's actually already through, and he is. Zoidberg clears 6 pretty handily, getting himself straightened out to head through the ceremonial finish line. And that just leaves us with one competitor to go. The 9th out onto Leviathan is the leader. It's like we're running inverted here, unintentionally, but that's the way it worked out. The points leader after the first run is going out last onto Leviathan. And I'm sure we all have high hopes, but at the same time, as has been mentioned in this installment and the one prior, some tires do better out here. And the Hold is a tire that at the extreme, on a side hill like this, there are no lugs facing perpendicular. Basically, the rig is up on its side, and all of the lugs are pointing perpendicular to the direction of travel. So the tendency of the tire to just cut loose and slide, just drift, I guess, to slide sideways, that's kind of what this tire does. Every tire has a weakness in some point. In the previous episode, we saw what happens to a landmine, and right there we saw what happens to a Hold. It was just a straight drop. There was no holding it, and his rolling there is, I think, 100% the relationship between the Hold and the surface that the Holds are trying to grab onto. As everything here, that was a big piece he knocked loose. As everything here is side hilly. See, once again, the rear end, you could see he swung like a pendulum, using the dig maneuver there on a. I'm not sure if it works this way on other dig gearboxes, but primarily in a dig gearbox, it's 3 dogs that lock into the gear and can disconnect the drive shaft effectively from the gearbox, so everything is just locked. So with the 3 dogs, you have a certain amount of dead space. So if you engage the dig and then let it off, the gear can move a bit, and this translates to about 1/4 of an inch of movement of the rear axle. Like, it'll roll about 1/4 of an inch. So if you just dig, undig, dig, undig, dig, you get into a rhythm of clicking that dig. You can basically free roll backwards. I don't know if in other competitions if this counts as reverse. I don't know if they count, like, a reverse has to be intentional. That's how we review it here. If you're rolling backwards, but you're not pressing on the trigger to roll backwards, it's not a reverse. Reverse to me is something that is done intentionally. You have to engage reverse, and you, like right there, you have to use power to move backwards. So if you have, and like there's the Rusty maneuver, which is if you have a 2-speed and the motor isn't quite torquey enough, you can switch into second gear and just basically free roll backwards, because it's like taking the parking brake off. But there's no power employed, so it's not counted as a reverse. In real, let's call them real, competitions with actual rules, maybe that is a reverse. But not out here, because we built this with our own hands, and we get to make up the rules with our own brains. So the competitors adhere to those rules, which even those rules are, I mean, let's state it like it is, fluid. I mean, they could change at any time. The only thing that's kind of remained consistent throughout the holding of all the 6 gates is the scoring. It's been 2-7-10. We added in the 19 for the gate max because we don't like DNFs around here. Everybody should get a score, and sometimes things happen. Oh. Little punt there. Come around. Take another shot at 6. Yella has been having a more difficult day, I would say, than he usually does in these sort of events. And I think it's 100%. Oh, here's a balance plug. It's hanging out the front like looks like he's vaping. He's going to come around again for 6. It's just almost feels like he's just dragging this out. Doesn't have a tremendously good line there. Oh, bumper betrayed him a little there. He has not fallen into the marker yet. I don't know if that front tire is high enough, and it is not. So, Yella's just going to roll slowly through and bring this to a close. And that brings Leviathan to a close. I think the competitors are not upset that they are not going to have to do that again. As that was an arena that was rough on pretty much everyone. Misdirection went out first. Did just use 1 reverse. I think it might have actually been 2. She struck 3 gates, which might have been 4. She did not roll over, so she ends the day with 23 points, which might have actually been in the 30s. Zoidberg with 1 reverse. Maybe. I think he did only use 1 reverse. He did strike. He struck gate 1 and was clean the rest of the way through. He did not roll over. So that gives him a score of 9. Single digits here are truly impressive. Little Yella had 2 reverses. He struck 3 gates and might have struck 4. I'm not sure. He did not roll over. So regardless, he ends the day with 25 points. It is a rare event to see Lil Yella in last. So let's take a quick look at the scores as they stood at the end of run 1, and now how they stand at the end of run 2. Jolly Green with just an absolute casserole of a day. And then I'll take my announcer's privilege of stating that those top 4, that's probably who's here to look at. If we were crunching this, those 4 would just run and everybody else would sit out. But that's not how we're doing it. That's not how the Invitational is going to close. Everybody's going to run, and we'll let it shake out the way it shakes out. So there, the low resolution, very few pixel king of flex himself, Zoidberg, takes home the win on the day and is ever so narrowly in first place, at least for the moment, before we move on to round 3 here and close out the inaugural holding of the Invitational.